quite snap. So we had to track down the fabric, and we made about 30 of these things, so they all matched up. But then we discovered that you couldn't have normal nappies, it just looked too bulky, so we made special slimmed down nappies. So the first day of filming with David Bowie, the night before, we'd had some friends down, we'd all had a few drinks, and Toby, as a baby, had a little rattle that was on a rubber suction cup. For some reason we got this out playing with this around the table, and we ended up sort of putting it on our heads like this. My wife Wendy did this, and unfortunately when she took it off, there was a big red ring right here. And in the morning it was still there. And so she was just horrified, because this was the first day she's going to meet David Bowie, and she has this big ring over it, and she has to spend her time on her knees right in front of his crotch, because she's sort of handing the baby up to him, and he takes the baby, and in case he drops it, catches Toby. So there's a big red ring here, and Bowie takes Toby, and the first thing Toby does is pee, because it's a thin nappy, straight out, and it's all over it. So that was the first day.
It's not been supposed to that, isn't it?
But it's actually very difficult. I mean, I really was never there. I was always in the workshop. I mean, on Dark Crystal, exactly the same, Elaborate, exactly the same. I'm there preparing the next sets, preparing the puppets and the costumes, and making sure all that's ready. There was never any time for me to stand around and watch the filming. I never saw any of that at all. I'd see the rushes at night, see what they've done. Actually, the best rushes ever when we did Dark Crystal, and one of our producers was Gary Kurtz, and the first thing we filmed in Dark Crystal was the Mystics going up the valley, and we filmed a half an hour of this stuff, and in the film it's just like 10 seconds. But we hired a cinema in Leicester Square just to look at it on the big screen and see what it looked like. And it was glorious for half an hour. They all slowly came up. Gary Kurtz came up to me afterwards and said, in a very worried tone, he said, "You know, Brian, those mystics just blend into the background. You can't see them at all." I said, "Yes, isn't it wonderful?" And it was. I mean, we played around a lot with various filters to get the colours of it to look like my paintings. But what we discovered is that the filters flattened everything out completely, that it looked as if the film was deteriorating, it was wrong. So in the end, we just did it by my choice of colours, the way I chose the costume and how we aged the set. So it was brown to me. Although the whole Dark Crystal, we had a room with all the natural elements in it, and it's actually a rainbow. There's this sort of ghostly rainbow colours. I can't really remember much about that. Oh, I was going to a convention, and I was at the bar at the airport, and I could hear this voice, and I could see the barman. I could see the barman looking really puzzled, and I thought, I know that's familiar. And I looked, and it was Kenny Baker, you know, and the barman couldn't see over the top. The little voice demanding a scotch. The barman finally looked down, and there was Kenny Baker. So I went over to him, and we sat down. I said, "Look, I don't know if you really remember me, but you were in my film." And he said, "Oh, was that Legend?" I said, "No, it was Labyrinth." And he said, "Oh, you didn't set fire to me, did you?" I said, "Well, no, not personally." So he was in one of the, he was in the Goblin, that's the machine, that's the machine gun. And he was in it, and he said that he was just fine. And suddenly, everybody was around him with fire extinguisher, and he caught on fire. So, But I missed that. I didn't know that had happened.
How do you get some good art?
Yes, I think there was a book called Once Upon a Time, which was a collection of British illustrators. And they used me on the front cover for the trolls, the waterfall coming up the nose. I think that's the one Jim saw, just something about that. And then he came to see me here and just loved the landscape. So, like some of that quality film, it's a bit dry out here. So that's, yeah, just by sheer chance. Same thing happened with my wife Wendy, who's a doll maker, and she had an exhibition in New York. The Muppet art director, Jim, saw it, asked her to come in and asked her to sculpt. We met on that first day. So Wendy did Gelflings, a lot of early prototype work, as we were doing that, she was lent out to Star Wars to make Yoda. So she fabricated Yoda. And then she actually put the ears with Frank Oz underneath. So she was on the set, because obviously this puppets has to be built up this high. So the swamps, Yoda's in the swamps. So they were underneath. Doing or looking at monitors, and the film before that, the Indiana Jones, and that scene with all those snakes, which a lot of them were rubber, but there were some real ones, and a lot of these snakes are escaped. So everybody was saying that they're all hiding, in the studio. So Frank was terrified. He hates snakes, that these snakes would be slithering across the feet. You had somebody there to sort of look out in case monsters appear. So it probably actually improved Yoda. Maybe a lot of Yoda's characterization came out of fear. So in a sense, like Yoda was literally, with a pun intended, a dummy run for us, because we were developing all those techniques. We just didn't know if it was going to work or not. And Yoda showed us that people would actually believe it. Because when I started, they were making Muppets. Now, ripping me off doing nothing.
Any other film projects? You've told us about Dark Crystal and Labyrinth.
Oh, and any films I've done?
Yeah, or been involved in?
No, the only thing I did was Little Nemo. I designed Nightmare Land. But it wasn't successful in terms of my input because they couldn't grasp that. They just wanted me to design it, which I did, but then they wouldn't employ me anymore. I said, well, it's not going to work unless you let me get involved with the animation of the characters I designed. It won't work, but they didn't understand that. So I say, like, Dark Crystal was 5 years, literally every day, and 3 years in Labyrinth every day, because I oversaw every single process. So, but that's all.
Hope you had a big holiday after each. Hope you had a big holiday after each.
Well, I went back to work. No, actually, having finished the Good Fairies, Bad Fairies, that was a great chunk. I found that I needed to have a break. I was playing around with computers and doing other things. So hopefully there'll be some more Cossington things turning up. We've got a slight legal problem at the moment. We'll sort that out. I'm going to do doing a book of trolls, another big one, with a famous writer who I can't mention at the moment, which you all know is a fantasy genre. So that's really exciting. That's going to come up.
Do you find your work, do you feel your work is work or is it just fun?
No, it's not fun and it's not work. I mean, the trouble, I can't think I would rather do it. I mean, I'm so lucky to be able to do what I'm doing. Incredibly lucky. although it's been interesting, I say that over the years, how people have, in the past few years, people still have not understood why I needed to specialise in fairies. They just, and I mean, now they do. I mean, there's been a huge revival of interest in it. But when I'm painting the things, it is a struggle. It's a struggle of getting pressed. My wife made a hand with a little round container in it. And I said, "What's that for?" She put it in the kitchen. He said, "Well, every time you come out of the studio, you say you've lost your talent. It's in here, and you get it back." But I'm always in despair when I'm painting the things. So I always want it to be better. I always have this idea it needs to be better, or I'm struggling with it. So that's hard. I mean, sometimes I find that hard. And also motivation. I mean, I'm not a person that sits around waiting for inspiration. It's a 9 to 5. I go in the studio at 9, finish at 5. Well, maybe 4. Well, 3-ish. It depends how it's going. You've got to sort of get on with it. Sorry? No. See, that's another thing people say, well, why don't you paint dragons then? I said, no, I paint fairies. Oh, no, we really make a lot of money with dragons. So, no, it's been quite interesting. At the moment, the area I'm in, I keep saying, but I paint this because I believe it, and it's how I express myself as an artist. If I painted dragons, it would be illustration, because I would have to make it up, and I don't make this up. This is my reality. There's a big difference. And I think it also gives me my strength with what I do. It's truer that way. So the possibility of this movie coming up would be, again, somebody taking my world and doing it rather than me illustrating their world. Because what's going on is that when you mention fairies, they say, oh, it's got to be an island, it's got to be about that, it's got to be that. And look, it was that, now it's somewhere else, it's moved on. Fairies are about now, contemporary, in an urban situation, it's about the future. It's difficult to get the world to catch up to it. And it's always sort of lagging behind. I've satiated your inquisitiveness. No. Drew aeroplanes, I think. And then I wanted to be an artist, and then I got fed up with that because people would paint these dreadful paintings. This is why I've always had this very ambivalent relationship between the words and picture. It stems directly from being at art school, where they paint these awful pictures, but because they explained it in a very erudite way, it was playing great art. It was rubbish. But what I wanted was the picture to tell the story, the picture itself, which contained all the information. And then I had a revelation that advertising did that. I studied graphic design, and then all my illustrations, all my results on the course were illustration results. And I came out as an illustrator, but basically I trained myself. Because of my interest, I then put a study illustration course. But when I left college, it was like for 5 years, I painted almost anything. I had a portfolio full of all sorts of stuff which I never used. I did several books, not the style I did at college. I'd say I did things like in Men Only. I did things for Women's Own, any of the magazines, some advertising stuff. And I was very good at pastiche, very good at doing different styles, which I really enjoyed, which was challenging. But after a while, I realised it wasn't fulfilling me. So that's why I just moved to the country and sort of found I started painting trolls. So it was a direct response to the landscape. I am now. How many years did I guess?
Time for one more question? Anybody?
Do you recommend anything else just to give yourself a break?
No. No, I mean, it's interesting, because I'm not a great fan of abstract art. A lot of it, I think, is nonsense. However, having said that, when you see a great piece of abstract art, you just know, there's a lot, there's a lot